So we're here post-game, Kings and Eagles. Kings coming up short 5-1. Jordan Kiss with assistant coach Kyle Bodie. And Kyle, obviously a 5-1, not the result you wanted tonight. And I think overall this Kings team kind of just came out a little flat today against a team that you cannot come out flat against.
Yeah, I actually thought our first, for the most part, was pretty good. Had some jump. We're doing good things on the offensive side of the red line there. Got the first one. And then, a couple mistakes that can happen. And they're mistakes at times and areas of the ice that are critical. And then, like you said, against a team like this, a high-flying team like this, they're one, they play structured, but two, when they get an opportunity, they are going to attack. And unfortunately, we learned that the hard way tonight.
And as you mentioned, it wasn't the whole game like that. Great, as always, as we said, time in and time out, a great start for this Kings team in the first period. Adam Mendelson with a breakaway early on was denied, but then you get Christian Morrow on a breakaway, and once again, you've been here before. You score the opening goal and are off to a great start.
Yeah, that seems to be the trend right now, and we're having little spurts between shifts where something's getting switched off, little mental mistakes are happening, and right now those bounces are ending up in the back of our net. And the flip side of that, we do a good job at creating opportunities, and we're not getting that end result. Like you mentioned, we missed a few grade A's in the first where we probably could have been up by more than one to start that game. But that's the way it goes in this game. And if we don't stick with our process for 60 minutes, like I said, we're learning the hard way that it doesn't just come. You got to play 60, and if you're not going to, this is what happens.
Now, it seemed like the turning point was in that first period on the disallowed Kings goal. You thought you made it 2-0 on the power play. They called it a goal in the play. They waved it off. It hit the skate of Belzile, but kind of after that point, that's when things. For me, if you felt that's when things started. That's when things started to shift.
Yeah, I guess that's telling for what happened with the night here, hey? Because in and out. I don't know if that was the moment that it shifted, but you could see that some of the mistakes that some of the guys were making were uncharacteristic mistakes of their game. And for whatever reason, it was taking us longer than usual to get our rhythm back. I think we did show spurts where we did get some rhythm back. We hit a couple posts. Alexi had a couple of good chances. But again, we deviated too much, too often, and they made us pay.
Then end of the first period, I think the ultimate turning point, Eagles score 2 goals in the span of a minute in under 2 minutes. And you never say, you always say no goals against in the first minute and no goals against in the last minute. And especially, you can't have multiple goals against in the final 2 minutes of a period, especially when you're up by 1.
Yeah. That's something that we're really trying to hammer home, first 2, last 2 of every period of every game. And the guys were even saying it on the bench. And so we know that that's part of their thought process, and it's something they're trying to focus on. And for whatever reason tonight, we let up 2 in a short span there, and all of a sudden we're going into the dressing room down 1, chasing the game, and away we go.
Do you feel like your team kind of chased the game from that point on? Because it seemed like in the second and third, that's when I think the Eagles started to really show off their skill, and they moved the puck up very well, and lots of time in the defensive zone, and you just really couldn't put as much pressure on Gandara and the Surrey net as much as you needed to.
Yeah, we were chasing obviously there. I thought there were some good stretches defensively where we bent but didn't break. Guys as a 5-man unit were showing that we were working together down there. Obviously, too long, too extended, but like I said, bend, don't break. And then on the flip side, we did create some chances down there in that second period where we could have been right there, and we just couldn't seem to find one to claw right back. And then, going into the third, it would be nice to see a bit more of a push right off the get-go, because you never know at this level in this league what could happen. But yeah, chasing for too long tonight for sure.
Well, and here we are again. It was just, again, too little too late. Another chance for this Kings team. Again, you're only down by 2 going into the third period, and it seems like, talking to some guys, the boys know where they're at, and they know that this team should be a lot better, but it seems like they haven't really been able to translate that to the ice, if you know what I'm saying, because they know then that they need to be better in the third period. They know they've had their chances, but it can't. They haven't been able to really find a way to actually to prove it and show their work for it.
Yeah, and I think if we go through every game this season and we go through the video, there's chunks throughout the game where we can highlight what we can actually do. And when we're playing within our structure and within our system, and when guys are, it sounds cliche to say, but when guys are really just focusing on the little things, all of a sudden we start scoring in bunches and some scoring gets spread out, and it's funny how things like that work. And it's a long season, it's a long game, and we have to get our guys in that mindset where if it takes 70 minutes plus a shootout, however long the shootout takes, that's how long you have to be dialed in for. And we're in a spot where we cannot afford to have mental breakdowns this often. Obviously, hockey's a game of mistakes, and mistakes are going to happen. But it's when those mistakes start compounding that it's like, okay, how do we break this trend? And I think that the guys recognize the mistakes that we're making. And I do believe that we have guys in that room who can right this, and I think they will. Mm-hmm. These guys are going to go on and play the next level, and this is part of that process. Part of that process is learning how to finish games, learning how to compete through 60, through 70, through playoffs, 2 overtimes, however long it's going to be. And we have to continue as a staff to really drive that message home, because like I said, if we go through every game, doesn't matter if it's against Surrey, Penticton, Cowichan, doesn't matter who it's been against, there have been glimpses where we've shown we're a very good team. So we just need to be able to drag that out and extend that and go from there.
And you mentioned the process, and I think this is that's been the story through 15 games of going through the process, trusting the process, and obviously you're at this point where it's like, all right, are we at the end of that process, or do we need to follow through? But how difficult. But I think that there's still ways to go, and you don't know exactly how far you are along in this process. But how difficult is it just knowing that the expectations are high, and I know a lot of people want to see this team kind of end that process and be the winning team that we see them be capable of going forward.
I mean, obviously it's frustrating, right? But everyone involved, everyone down there, we're all in this together, and if we need to tweak the process, we need to tweak the process. But at the end of the day, if we shift our focus only to the end result, that typically doesn't translate well out there. So there's obviously things that we need to work on. There's things that we need to tweak as a staff. There's no question about that. And the good thing is that we put our heads on the pillow tonight. We wake up tomorrow. We come right back, play the same team. We'll correct a few things. We'll highlight a few things, and right back at it.
Yep. So Kings get another shot at the Eagles tomorrow, 7:00 here from the Hap, and again another chance at a good team. And we've said this: there's lots of good to take away from this game, lots of stuff you can show. But ultimately, going in tomorrow, what needs to be the focus for the second game of this doubleheader?
Well, obviously, the start's going to be key, and then really it's one shift at a time. We've been trying to harp on that in practice. Trying to harp on, if you make mistakes are going to happen. You got to put that in the rearview mirror, and it's really going to take a collective effort tomorrow, all the way through our entire lineup, to go out and get a job done. That's the great thing about this game. We have an opportunity to go out and get a job done tomorrow. We have faith in the group that we have. They've shown that they can play with the majority of the teams. We obviously haven't seen everyone, but the teams that we have faced. We're right there, and it's up to us to get us from right there to over that edge. So tomorrow, back at it. Good opportunity for our group to really see what we have, because come playoff time, that's what it's like. You got to be able to put something in the past, take the mistakes, learn from them, take the good. Okay, how do we build off that? And you got to go to work. So that's what the focus is for tomorrow.
Well, Kings will get their second chance at Surrey tomorrow, 7 o'clock here from Hat Park Arena on our Remembrance Day game here at the Hat. But Kyle, as always, thank you very much for your time here post-game, and we'll probably speak to you again tomorrow.
Sounds good. Thanks, sir.